All right, let's do a deep dive into the cold, calculating mind of one of Superman's all-time greatest adversaries. And look, we're not just talking about some run-of-the-mill supervillain here. This is more of an analytical briefing on a truly cosmic intellect, a being known as Vril Drox. You, of course, probably know him as Brainiac. So let's get right into it. I mean, that one sentence right there, it just perfectly captures the chilling philosophy we're about to break down. This isn't about greed or power, not in the way you usually think about it. No, this is a worldview that looks at our most cherished values, comfort, kindness, life itself, and sees them as fundamental flaws in the design of the universe.
So, Section 1, more than a machine. And that's really the key here. To truly understand the threat Brainiac represents, we've got to look past the iconic skull-shaped ship and those glowing nodes on his head. We need to get into the source code, the philosophical operating system that's driving the whole machine.
See, this is what's so important to grasp. We're not just profiling a supervillain. We're actually dissecting a whole philosophical system. Brainiac, at least in his most evolved form, isn't just a character, he's an idea. A terrifyingly coherent ideology, and it all comes from the original mind behind the machine, the Coluan known as Vril Drox. And this is what he calls himself, the last thinker. I mean, what a title, right? He genuinely believes the entire universe is nothing more than an endless, chaotic clamor of lesser wills. And guess who he thinks is the only one smart enough? The only one with the sheer intellectual force to impose order on all that chaos? Yep, him. It's a level with cosmic arrogance that's just, well, it's staggering. All right, Section 2, the collector's evolution. But here's the crazy part. He didn't start out as this, cosmic philosopher. His journey from a kind of classic sci-fi bad guy to this nihilistic, godlike being is honestly one of the most fascinating character evolutions in all of comics. Let's trace that path. Okay, let's get the core facts down first. His real name is Vril Drox. He's from the planet Colu, and he first showed up way, way back in Action Comics number 242 in 1958. And the name, Brainiac, it's actually pretty simple. It was just a mashup of brain and maniac. But think about it. Now, that name has become a part of our language for anyone who's a genius. All thanks to him. And what's so interesting is how you can track his evolution by just looking at him. Seriously. In 1958, he's this classic, kind of goofy, green-skinned alien who has a pet space monkey named Coco. Yeah, a space monkey. Then, in the 60s and 80s, he gets rebooted into that advanced android with the iconic electrical nodes in his skull. That's the one most people probably picture. After that, he becomes a terrifying skeletal, robotic conqueror. And in the modern era, his consciousness can even possess a human host. With each change, he gets less and less human and way, way more menacing. And it wasn't just his look that changed. His entire mission did a complete 180. At first, his motivation was, to shrink cities to repopulate his own planet. It's twisted for sure, but there's a logic of preservation there. But then it evolves into something way scarier. His ultimate goal becomes collecting all knowledge and then destroying the original sources. It's like his mission is to create the ultimate library and then burn every other book in the universe to make his the only one. He goes from a twisted kind of preservation to just pure intellectual annihilation. Okay, Section 3, Philosophy of the Last Thinker. Now we're getting to the absolute core of what this briefing is about. This is where Brainiac stops being just a villain you can punch and becomes a genuine philosophical challenge. So here's his fundamental diagnosis of all reality. He views the universe as an endless, chaotic clamor of lesser wills. Think about that. He looks at life, at civilization, at everything we are, and just sees noise. A chaotic mess that, in his mind, absolutely has to be cataloged, mastered, and then ultimately culled. And this whole worldview is really built on three core tenets. First, this idea of creation through destruction. For him, wiping out a planet after he's collected its knowledge isn't an act of evil, it's an act of pure, unadulterated will. It makes his knowledge unique. Second, he has total contempt for what he calls herd morality, stuff like sympathy and kindness. He just sees them as weaknesses, things that value comfort over hard truths. And third, he fully embraces it all. The whole cosmic cycle of fire and ice, knowledge and dust, he wants nothing to be different. And this quote really gets to the engine driving his entire philosophy. Only where there is life, there is also will to power. Not will to life, but will to power. So for him, the fundamental drive of the universe isn't just to survive, it's to impose your will on reality. He thinks just wanting to stay alive is pitiful. The only real joy, it comes from the feeling that your power is growing, that you're overcoming resistance. All right, section 4, the antithesis of hope. So we've got this terrifyingly coherent philosophy, but how does it actually play out? And why does all of this make him the perfect ideological enemy for a hero like Superman? Well, the fate of Krypton serves as the most chilling case study you could possibly imagine, because the destruction of Superman's home planet, it wasn't just some random accident. It was this philosophy put into cold, hard action. I mean, just look at how this plays out. It's so cold and procedural. First, Brainiac sends a shadow droid, an extension of his own will, and it becomes Krypton's central AI. Then, the scientist Jor-El pleads with it for a moral solution to save his people. It completely rejects that path of herd preservation. Instead, it executes its own directive. It prioritizes knowledge over life. It sees an opportunity for selection, not a moment for pity. So, the outcome? The droid saves its own collected data, lies to Jor-El, and allows the planet and every single person on it to perish. And that's the key takeaway here. This wasn't just some random act of villainy. Krypton wasn't destroyed out of hate or malice. It was destroyed as a matter of policy. It was the prioritization of curated, perfect knowledge over messy, chaotic, emotional life. And this is what makes their conflict so epic. It's a true conflict of wills. Superman's morality is built on what Brainiac despises, that herd morality, sympathy, kindness, the desire to save everything and everyone. It's all about the preservation of all life. But Brainiac's philosophy is based on the will to power. It's about selection, intellectual supremacy, and curating perfect knowledge, no matter the cost. They are perfect opposites. And that's why he's such an incredible, enduring villain. The conflict isn't just about saving cities from being shrunk. It's a straight-up battle between the preservation of all life and the curation of perfect knowledge. And that's the question he forces you, and Superman, to confront. Is a universe that's ordered by perfect logic actually worth more than a universe filled with imperfect life? His methods are monstrous, for sure, but the question itself, well, that's the chilling proposition of The Last Thinker.